Welcome to Focus on Buddhism. Last week we brought you an interview with Phra Khantipalo, the abbot of Wat Buddha Dharma Forest Meditation Centre, on the basics of Buddhist meditation. Due to limitation of time, we were not able to broadcast the full interview, and therefore tonight we will continue with this interview. However, before this, I would like to give a summary of last week's program. Buddhist meditation is a method to find out for oneself the nature of existence without having to rely on external sources. It is also a direct way of verifying the Buddha's teachings, and one need not blindly believe any part of the Buddha's teachings. One can verify them. It is an invitation for one to come and see for oneself. Apart from this, everybody needs meditation, especially these days where life is filled with stressful situations. Meditation helps one to become peaceful. It is a way of helping one's own mind and is not restricted to secluded people. There are two major aspects to Buddhist meditation, that is, calming the mind and developing insight into the nature of existence through the calmness gained. Mental powers are just a byproduct of meditation, but Buddhist meditation stresses the importance of not clinging to these powers. Buddhist meditation aims at a peaceful mind with loving kindness and compassion towards others. It is advised that the pursuit of powers can be dangerous and should not be undertaken. However, meditation itself is not dangerous. Difficulties are brought about by an ill-directed mind. In fact, not meditating can be even more dangerous. However, if one's mind is greatly disturbed, or if one pursues meditation to gain powers, then in such cases it could be dangerous. Unlike in some other traditions, Buddhist meditation does not require one to become a Buddhist in order to practice. It is open to anyone who wishes to make their minds peaceful and serene. Contrary to common belief, it is not necessary that one first finds a secluded place for meditation, although such places inspire a person to undertake serious meditation. A normal householder should start practicing where he lives. However, a certain degree of quietness is a requirement for meditation. Early mornings or late evenings are ideal for this purpose. Although there are no restrictions as to the duration of meditation, it is advisable to sit for more than a half an hour, giving oneself adequate time to settle into the practice. Meditation can be done standing, sitting, or walking, but not lying down. For sitting, the most important thing to remember is to have one's back straight. One can sit on a hard chair with a straight back or sit on a firm cushion. When sitting on the floor, one must aim to get one's knees on the ground. It is not essential to sit in lotus position. When one sits comfortably with back straight, one must try to focus one's attention on the breath. Verbalization may be useful at the beginning, but has to be done away with as mindfulness develops. One shouldn't be thinking, but should be fully aware. Ideally, the mind should be bright but without thoughts. When thoughts arise, one must merely note the occurrence of the thought without any judgment whatsoever, let it go, and bring back one's awareness to one's breath. One of the problems a meditator encounters quite often is the tendency to compare or judge the progress of meditation. Sometimes one compares a sitting with a previous day's sitting. Sometimes one doubts whether adequate effort is being put in. I asked Phra Khantipalo to explain how to overcome these difficulties.
Yes, judging one's meditation. That means that you're aiming at something, you see. You should try to just sit every day, once or twice a day if you've got time. You just try to sit every day and not try to get results. The important thing is not the results. The important thing is the sitting. The important thing is the doing. The results arise of themselves quite naturally. It's not important to try to get results. That's the wrong way. So judging it, so that was a good sit, this was a bad sit, and all that sort of thing. I had a good sit yesterday, I hope I'll have a good sit today. I hope that good sit I had the day before yesterday I have again today. Don't get into any of this. See? You have to try to just sit, that's all. Every day is a new sitting. Every day a new sitting. Every day a new doing. Yeah. And if you try, well, that means that you become regular with your practice. You sit every day, or you do walking meditation every day, maybe. And that's as much as you can do with your ordinary life responsibilities. Well, that's enough effort to put into that. That will bear good fruit. You shouldn't doubt that. So it gradually accumulates that fruit. So trying too hard, though, that will only shatter one's work. Because if you try too hard, it's again forcing. It's using force. It's using violence on one's own mind. And don't try to do anything like that. You have to know how to. You have to be relaxed in mind and body, but alert and awake and watchful. Don't try too hard, and of course, trying too little means that one's lazy. So that's the importance of regularity.
Quite often, meditation is restricted to the 45 minutes or hour of sitting one does during the day. The tendency is to lose the awareness that was patiently cultivated during the sitting by being involved in the millions of distractions one faces in daily living. Meditation is not like taking a vitamin pill where one is just required to remember to take it every so often and not to think about it afterwards. The meditator has to get used to the idea of being mindful in whatever activity he or she is engaged in daily life if beneficial results are desired. How can this be achieved?
Well, what you can do is to be mindful. Because you see, meditation mustn't become an activity which is separated from daily life. If you are sort of doing your meditation for, say, half an hour or an hour in the morning or evening or both times, but apart from that, you never think about your mind, you never think about the state of your mind, you're not concerned with it the rest of the day, it will mean that your meditation is a religious activity which is completely cut off from the rest of oneself. And if it is so, it'll be like many people's religion. It really means it has no significance and it won't lead to any changes at all. And so this is the importance of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the awareness of what one is doing and experiencing while doing and experiencing it. So it's the awareness of the body. It's washing up while washing up, for instance. It's the awareness of feelings. So it's aware of the play of the feelings, if pleasant feelings, painful ones, neutral feelings, and how they change and change. It's this kind of awareness. It's the awareness too of different states of mind, different moods arising and passing away. That's also included there. And it's also awareness of the contents of the mind, how that arises and passes away. So all this is going on in everyday life, see? And what one should do in order to link up one's meditation with the ordinary everyday life is you should try to take one or two jobs that you do frequently or every day, and try to do them with complete mindfulness of the body, for instance. In every activity, everything that you're doing there, you're aware of raising the hand, and you're aware of holding this, and you're aware of putting it like that, and so forth. And actually become concentrated on that one subject for the time that you're doing it. If you can master this technique, gradually you find that it spreads into other things, into much more complicated areas of discourse, where there's maybe a number of people and even a number of things being done at the same time. This is one very important thing that one can do to help establish the meditation through the mindfulness in everyday life. There's another thing, however, that's worth mentioning here, and that is one must make an effort to abandon various kinds of fantasies. Because the mind in everyday life produces various kinds of fantasies, whatever they're concerned with. Now these things are false because they're not concerned with the true. And if you have mindfulness, then to say to yourself, now come on, let go of this one, and you let go of it, you let it go, so that it's not burbling on, it's not writing this immense story in your head. This is a very good way of training oneself too. This will also help to reduce the amount of wandering mind that one gets in meditation.
One of the biggest problems in today's society is the instability of interpersonal relationships. Relationships between people are highly tensed, and warm, friendly relationships are not so common. Individualism, driven to extreme isolation, is generally seen as the safest mode of existence. How can we break down these personal barriers which have introduced so much self-centeredness, disrespect to other people, and lack of concern about the people around us? I asked Phra Khantipalo, can one expect any improvement in one's relationship with others from the practice of meditation?
Yes, you can expect some changes, but those changes will come in their own good time, and they can't be made to occur. One good change that will come about gradually is that the amount of anger in oneself will be reduced as a result of meditation. And so you come to get along better with other people, and other people feel the benefit of living with somebody or relating with somebody who doesn't get angry all the time. So this is one very excellent result of meditation. However, in some cases, especially where people have very strong anger, that may be a matter of years, in fact, because they gradually improves over practice through years, and it can't be made to happen all overnight or anything of that sort. I mention that one particularly because this is anger and resentment are things which cause so much trouble in human society. There are other benefits, of course. I mean, whatever troubles you have in your mind will be lessened. Besides anger, there are obviously all sorts of other things. There's envy, and there's, selfish desires, and there's all kinds of malice and sort of confused thinking and boredom and all sorts of things like this. So gradually, through practice, these tendencies can become diluted, and then they will be eliminated finally. So others certainly get great benefit from this.
One of the biggest obstacles to meditation faced by many people today is their attitude towards morality. In Buddhist meditation, unlike in some other traditions, morality is seen as a foundation upon which good meditation practice can be built. But, however, nowadays morality is seen as an outdated code of ethics. In fact, a person who avoids immoral behaviour is sometimes seen as abnormal. Some claim that moral values are relative concepts and, as such, have no significance to modern life. Although it is quite true that moral guidelines differ from time to time and from place to place, Buddhism gives us an absolute scale relative to which moral behaviour can be measured. The Buddha claimed that any action that tends to increase one's greed, hatred or delusion cannot lead to one's own happiness nor to others' happiness. The Buddha therefore prescribed a system of moral conduct which is based on reducing one's greed, hatred and delusion, which in turn must bring about peace and happiness to one who undertakes it. It is not something which is imposed on someone, but a set of principles to abide by if one desires to bring about peace and happiness. It is undertaken out of a clear comprehension of the purpose, and not out of fear, faith or blind belief.
You know, human society, human history, is a record of unrestrained people. See? When you just look at the papers and see what people are doing, you know, the terrible crimes and all that sort of thing that people commit. And it's not only the terrible crimes, it's the little ones as well. And all this makes for suffering and trouble and turmoil in society, bad relations between people. So you should understand that it's necessary to have some kind of code to govern human behaviour. There's no code, then human beings, they don't conduct themselves in the right way. So moral conduct is a really necessary thing. And the Buddha, for lay people, gave a very reasonable code. It's called the 5 precepts. Not killing living beings, not taking what is not given, no wrong conduct in sexual relations, not speaking falsely, not taking intoxicants to confuse the mind. When these things are done, they're a source of trouble. And when they're not done, well, that's already eases one's troubles a great deal, and, of course, the sufferings of other people. So it's a very important thing to practice, that some people, anyway, preferably a lot of people, practice the 5 precepts, because that makes for a good society. And that is a very good basis for meditation then. Because if the 5 precepts are kept well, then one doesn't have remorse. You don't have anything that you're sorry about. You feel quite all right about your actions, and then your meditation goes well.
Certain claims have been made that hard drugs can also lead to experiences similar to those gained through meditation. So I asked Phra Khantipalo whether meditation and hard drugs mix.
No, well, that's the same as drink and meditation doesn't mix either. And of course, there are lots of different kinds of drugs, and they do different things to the mind. But the important thing is that they alter the mind in an artificial way. That is, through meditation, the mind is altered in a genuine way. See, it's because of your effort, it's because of your patience, it's because of your perseverance, because of your faith, because of your wisdom that it's altered. But through drugs, they're altered by an exterior agent, that is the drug, and of course then no long-lasting results can be expected because of that. So no kind of drugs are good to mix with meditation, and no kind of drugs will bring enlightenment either.
The final goal of a Buddhist is to gain wisdom into the nature of existence and at the same time to develop loving kindness and compassion to all living beings. One description of the word loving kindness can be a warm friendliness coupled with a genuine wish for the happiness of all living beings without exception. Sometimes it is compared to a mother's love for her only child. A special kind of meditation was prescribed by the Buddha for developing this quality of loving kindness.
Yeah, well, loving kindness meditation is a special kind of meditation to cure anger and hatred and resentment. So it's a good kind of meditation for everybody to do. Whatever you believe, whether you're a Buddhist or not, very beneficial indeed. In loving kindness meditation, we begin with wishing loving kindness for oneself first. That is, I begin by wishing, may I be well, may I be happy. Now, obviously, if you don't love yourself, you can't love others. Or, one must be fairly free from self-hatred before the loving kindness will start to affect other people. So, after wishing oneself, may I be well, may I be happy, and then you extend it to say, say to parents or other dear relatives, and then next say to a good friend of yours, and perhaps to another good friend of yours, and then say you extend it to teachers that you've benefited from in this life. And after that you can extend it to neutral people, that is acquaintances, extend it to people like that. And then finally you come to your enemies, if you've got any, and there's people you don't like. And at the end, when it becomes really successful, you can run through the whole range of these people like this, or animals can be included as well, and other living beings. You can run through the whole range of these people and living beings generally, and it can become infinite in extent, this loving kindness meditation, without limitations, and not directed at specific people either. But to begin with, it has to be directed at specific people, so that you can see some kind of improvement in your relations with them whenever you meet. This is a very important point. It's no good being able to love the world and hate particular people. So the advantages are generally that, of course, you relinquish your hatred and anger and resentment and these kind of things, and become a person who is easy to live with and gets on easily with other people, have many good friends. And then this means, of course, that you affect other people for the good, and they might even get round to practicing because they see some good happening in you.
We have attempted to convey to our listeners the very basics of Buddhist meditation. However, as the age-old saying goes, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, which in this context means that unless one really sits down to meditate, all the information we have conveyed will remain as mere words. As the Buddha himself proclaimed, his teachings invite one to come and see for oneself. No one is asked to believe without understanding, without being convinced for oneself. The method is meditation. The goal is wisdom into the nature of existence, which will lead one out of the unsatisfactoriness of life. And also the goal is to develop loving kindness and compassion towards all sentient beings. To end our program, I asked Phra Khantipalo if he would give us a short loving kindness meditation.
Well, you sit straight, upright, relaxed, and you wish for yourself, may I be well, May I be happy. And you keep on feeling, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be happy, may I be well, may I be happy. And then, my mother and father, may they be well, may they be happy. Be well, be happy. Be well, be happy. Be well, be happy. And my dear friend, the best friend I have in this life, may he or she be well, be happy, free from suffering and trouble. Be well, be happy, free from suffering and trouble. And teachers who have been so good to me, from whom I've learnt so much, be well, be happy, free from suffering, free from trouble. And all these animals and creatures around here, whatever shape or form, be well also, free from suffering, free from fear, free from trouble. Santan, whatever beings there are, Avera Hontun, may they be free from enmity. Somben Santan, whatever beings there are, Ambyan Pancha Hontun, may they be free from hurtfulness. Somben Santan, whatever beings there are, Anika Hontun, may they be free from troubles of mind and body. Somben Santan, whatever beings there are, Songki Antanang Pariharantun, may they be able to protect their own happiness.
For people who are interested in meditation retreats, Wat Buddha Dharma Meditation Centre's phone number is 043 731193. This program was brought to you by the Buddha Dharma Society of Sydney and sponsored by Mr. Michel de Grief. May you all be well and happy.